Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the MilsimUnits.com podcast. We have several leaders from Brothers in Arms. That includes Unit Commander Doctor
Hello there.
and Recruitment Manager Mo.
Hello, hello.
All right, gentlemen. So BiA, interesting unit. I've taken a look at you guys, your profile, and some of your social media. I'm definitely learning, or looking forward, I should say, to learning more about your ops because you guys are a little bit unique in the community. So, with all that being said, let's get right into it, guys. So let's start out
Great.
as per usual. Let me get some background from you two. How'd you get started in Milsim gaming?
Yeah, I guess I'll go first. I've always been a guy that was into games and especially military themed ones. I mean, I started out, I think, on my dad's PlayStation 1 playing in Conflict, Desert Storm, or one of those Conflict series games, crawling around on the floor. Even at school and stuff, trying to mimic the video game. So it's always been a big part of my life. And as I got older and more experienced, I moved away from console gaming and moved on to PC. And from there it was Arma. So I started with I think Arma 2 when I really got into it. Went back, played some of the more classic games in the series, and then ended up on Arma 3. I haven't made the move to Reforger yet, but who knows? Might be in the future.
Yeah, well, hey, man, I can definitely relate to that. We have a similar backstory with the progression, the development, man. I mean, as kids, from my perspective, playing Army is a natural thing to do for a lot of boys. So you definitely want to take it up to the next level as you grow and mature in that aspect. So pretty cool. What about you, Mo? Tell us about how you got started in gaming and where you where you are in Milsim now.
For me, it was pretty similar. When I was young, I was really fascinated with the military. I always loved to play toy soldiers with my friends. Had a massive collection. Eventually moved to playing army games on console, mainly Battlefield, which was something that I really loved. Then I slowly started to transition from playing on console to a old Lenovo laptop where I first started Milsim as playing Gmod, believe it or not. So I played Gmod military roleplay for a long time, treating that as Milsim, even though it was less hardcore, but it was still, it still got that itch more or less.
Sure.
And from there, I got introduced to a couple friends who played Arma 3, and they introduced me to the game, and that's pretty much how I started into serious Milsim, jumping around from unit to unit, playing all sorts of themes, such as the British military. At one point, also moved to the American military. It was pretty much a fun time for me, but more or less the same thing as Doctor.
Good stuff. Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's amazing how many different platforms there are for Milsim. For even for hardcore stuff, you wouldn't think some of these titles would be full of guys who are really into it. But that's the thing. It's all about your imagination and your drive and what you're willing to get done. You can take any kind of tool and use it to your advantage as you see fit, as long as you got the creativity. So pretty good, man. Now, obviously, you guys are up there in Brothers in Arms. You're in your command staff, leading the way, and really working to make your unit the best that it can be. So, what's the story behind BIA's formation? How did it begin, and how did you get to where the unit is today?
Yeah, I guess I'll make a start and then I'll let Mo jump in because he's been around longer than I have. I took the direct entry route, shall we say, into Brothers in Arms. So
Tell us more.
uh, yeah, so Brothers in Arms has existed for about 5.5, 6 years now, and it's been playing sort of 2 to 3 times a week consistently over that entire period. We do take a short break every summer, but really we have been playing without those breaks consistently for 5.5, 6 years. We started out as a World War II unit predominantly, obviously Milsim, way back at the start, and over time we've sort of evolved as our membership grew. We started out with 2, 3, 4 people as most units do, and now we've grown to the point where we have 75 active members, we have 500 or so members, should we say, inverted commas, but we have 75 at any given point who we would consider accurate and will be on our missions. So our missions are played with 75 players, which gives us the ability to have a pretty full strength company and some supporting assets alongside that as well. Which I think is something that is really unique about Brothers in Arms. Not many units have such high player count missions. We have good relationships with the wider armor community as well. So we quite often have guest units come to play with us. So we'll end up playing our missions at around sort of 90, 100, 110 sort of players. Fairly regularly, at least once a month, will we have over 100 players on our event.
Yeah, it's definitely a full server.
It is. It can be tricky.
I was going to say, I know you can go up to 128 man, but no, that engine ain't pulling that load. So if you can get over 100 and make it fun, you're doing something good.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. We have a technical manager by the name of Vuk. He puts a lot of time and effort into working around the restrictions of the armor engine. We fully script our missions. We use very minimal Zeusing. We have a full framework of custom-made scripts to try and balance the server, balance the AI, etc., and try and make the missions perform as best as possible. With very rarely have any crashes or FPS issues or anything along those lines. We're very selective about how we play and what maps we use to make sure it's a stable experience for everyone.
Outstanding. Yeah, yeah, definitely. I've spoken with a lot of communities. I played with more than a handful. Keeping those numbers, keeping it stable, keeping it fun. Like I said, is definitely a challenge. So just kudos on the history of the unit and how you and your men have developed and grown over the years. So that's pretty cool. Now, what about you, Mo? So, Doctor here says that you've been in longer. Tell us, the inside details, the inside scoop going way back when to the earlier days.
All right. Well, back in the earlier days, our unit manager or unit owner, Aries, he's a big fan of all sorts of things to do with military, Milsim, and that's pretty much why he wanted to create Brothers in Arms. He wanted to sort of share that love of his with many people and many like-minded people. So, like Doctor said, we did start as a World War II unit, but as more and more people joined, Aries had a massive idea where it was pretty much he took all the feedback of how everyone wanted to try out different eras and how everyone wanted to sort of try out different conflicts, and he took all these ideas and built upon them. So we did mainly historical World War II battles, but then we expanded over towards Vietnam, which was our first major expansion in terms of eras, and then over towards modern day conflicts. And then lastly, our newest era that we started to explore was Cold War. And all this happened in the span of those 5 to 6 years. But not just eras as a whole, or the time frames that we played grew. The community itself grew not just in terms of member count, but in terms of how we sort of involve these members in the operations. Because back in the day, we didn't really have such a structured environment. But as we grew and our numbers increased, we began to build up that frame that was needed to run a unit of that size. And now you can expect in any VIA operation to have a dedicated armor division, dedicated air assets, among many other assets that we use, such as logistics, mortar and artillery, alongside reconnaissance as well, which is pretty much to have all those assets working together in any given operation was no easy task, but thankfully, thanks to all the dedicated people in our unit, we did manage to pull it off.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, I love combined arms warfare. I mean, when you want to talk about Milsim and particularly, realism, that's where it's at. That's where we're going. In the field, in the U.S., NATO in general, just all around the world, really. So again, with that kind of vision and working with the Arma 3 framework, the engine and such. I mean, yeah, that's great. So definitely, I'm eager to hear more about the details here. So how does BIA structure its ops? And you guys sound pretty unique. So tell us more about your schedule, what a typical mission might a typical campaign might look like. Give some details about how your week looks.
Yeah, so we run, let's say, events. We'll call them events, 3 times a week. So every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday, at 1900 GMT, which is 2000 Central European time. Absolutely no idea what that is in American time zones. My apologies. But we have had American guest units play with us, so it must be something playable.
Sure.
Um,
It's
I
about
think normally
1400 on the East Coast.
yeah, so probably around Sundays. Most of them probably at work on Tuesdays and Thursdays. But yeah, um, so yeah, we play as I say 2 game events a week and 1 training session a week. Just to make sure we stay on top of our skills and drills and that everyone knows how to work together. Um, every single month we will run a campaign. So it depends what era it is. So on Sundays we nearly always play World War II, and then our Thursday sessions are normally one of the different eras that we play. So it could be Vietnam era, it could be Cold War, or it could be modern. Um, we'll run a campaign every month, and that campaign will normally follow a point in time in history, or it could be hypothetical if we're talking about something modern or Cold War gone hot, something like that. And obviously we'll stick to one era for that campaign. So, and it will normally run for the majority of the month. So, for example, if we had a Cold War campaign, you'd be looking at sort of 3 out of 4 Thursdays would be the Cold War campaign. Whereas the Sundays would stay with World War II, and that extra the Thursday that we have kicking around there would probably be used for a different era, just to keep things fresh for people, so they don't get too tired of doing the same thing. If we have a World War II campaign running on our Sundays, then the Thursday sessions could be a complete mix, and we could have potentially a Vietnam mission, a Cold War, and a modern. So we really do try to keep it fresh and keep it interesting. I hate to keep harping on about it, but we do have a pretty high player count. So what that allows us to do is it allows us to do full combined arms warfare, as you said. So we can have, you're talking about 60 plus infantry soldiers, possibly with, armored vehicles or motorized vehicles, whatever it may be, depending on what unit we're playing as. Could even have helicopter support, etc., to move them around. Some of the most amazing scenes you will ever see in armor, coming out of our missions in terms of, you got 60 plus infantry guys lined up on the edge of a wood line, engaging an objective, supported by, 4 dedicated tanks and CAS, close air support from the aviation wing. You've got artillery or mortars splashing on the objective, reconnaissance units picking off high value targets with their sniper rifles, etc. Like, it really, there's some absolutely insane sort of graphics and scenes you can see on these missions. It's absolutely fantastic. It's the main reason I stick around, to be honest. You just don't get that everywhere else.
Sure. Yeah, that sounds pretty cinematic. I mean, I can imagine. I'm a big World War II buff myself. That's how I got started in military history and Milsim, etc. So, like you said, you got a full company, full server on the a wood line somewhere in eastern France or Belgium or whatever, man, and just the fire and the sounds, the sights, the whole experience. It can be kind of mind blowing. So. Definitely, we're going to link. You get some links up on the description to this the YouTube podcast with your social media, so people can get eyes on. We'll have your milsimunits.com profile as well, so they can get to your Discord and get in touch with you guys. But yeah, definitely, I'm looking forward to seeing more and just delving a little bit deeper into the experience here in the unit. So, what about a specific mission or operation? Is there anything that sticks out in your mind in terms of that kind of the visual effects? I mean, what's the most memorable experience that you've had in BIA, and that goes for you too, Mo. I mean, what's your favorite or most memorable experience here?
For me, in BiA, it has to be this one operation we were playing, which was Modern Mob Pack. Uh, we were pretty much going in as the United States Marines, pretty much invading this village that was suspected to be harboring the head of a certain terrorist organization that I will refrain from naming. But regardless, that I love that operation because it was during the nighttime, and I'm a sucker for nighttime ops, especially when we have IR strobes, IR lasers, alongside air assets. We mainly had insertion with Black Hawks during the night. We went in on the far side of the village, and you could just see the amount of lasers pointing at that village from our snipers and marksmen, overwatching as the three squads we had just slowly began encroaching on the village. It was just a sight that I'll never forget.
Yeah, that sounds pretty badass. Definitely, I love modern technology as much as all the different eras have their, I guess, their charms in terms of gameplay. Definitely, when you have something really technical and precise, and it comes all together with the whole unit pulling off the mission, man, that can be it can be exhilarating, to be honest with you, at least in my experience. So yeah, that's pretty cool. What about you, Doctor? What's your favorite mission or op?
I think, to be honest, for me, it was probably the very first one I ever played at BA, and that's really when I fell in love, and I knew that this was going to be my virtual home, as cheesy as that sounds, for the next for the next period of my Milsim life, should we call it?
Yep.
It was a World War II mission. I can't even remember the details. All I remember is we loaded in, and we were on the very edge of a very large World War II map. And we were an entire company of paratroopers. We loaded up with all of our gear, got into our planes, which were obviously flown by players. So that you're talking 100 players plus pilots. And we flew over the did a loop of the map and came into our area of operations. And we stand up on the plane, we scroll wheel and hit our static line jump, and out we go one by one out of the planes, counted out like something out of a really good war movie. It's sort of dawn, the sun is rising, and as I'm like slowly coming down towards the ground, I hold my Alt key and I look around and I can see 90 plus other players in the air, real life players doing this paradrop, drifting down towards the ground with flak coming up between us, with movement on the drop zone, with enemy AI shooting up at us as we're trying to land, and we're trying to get ourselves reorganized and get ready to fight and all these sort of things. And God, the adrenaline that was just like pumping through me. It felt like I was a paratrooper. It felt like I had really just jumped, over France or wherever it was during World War II. It was absolutely insane. So cinematic.
You took the words right out of my mouth. That's pretty badass. I mean, you talk about a baptism of fire. Your first mission in the unit, and you get thrown into Band of Brothers or something. Definitely that would probably sear in my mind's eye forever. Having gone through that, so that's pretty cool. And I'm a big fan of airborne ops myself. Not having come from an airborne unit, Milsim unit, but still definitely the excitement, the tension, the adrenaline, and just the follow up, man. That's pretty cool. So good examples. Now we talked about how you guys pull these missions off on such a large and very detailed scale with a lot of technical inputs and preparation and planning and scripting and all that good stuff. What about the culture. I mean, how do you guys interact with each other? What's the camaraderie like in BIAs? I mean, you call yourselves brothers in arms, so tell us what that means.
Yeah, I mean, as I say, it's in the name. Like we are a brotherhood and sisterhood. We
Hmm.
do have some female members
Sure.
as well.
Yep.
Um, but we really do. We love each other. I know that sounds ridiculous, and it's a video game and whatever, but we really truly do have a culture and camaraderie within the unit to the point where during our summer break last year, during 2024, um, we decided we don't see enough of each other. So there was about 60 of us, I think, in total, went to Athens in Greece from all over the world. People came from Poland, the UK, Sweden, Serbia, Egypt, all over the place. All of our members, we are massively international unit, and we all met in Athens in Greece, which is the home of our unit leader, our unit manager, Aris.
Hmm.
Where we spent 2 or 3 days, I think 3 days, together in each other's company, touring around, seeing the sights, museums, maybe a few cheeky beverages in some fine establishments as well, and it was absolutely fantastic. We got to meet each other face to face and really truly show that it's not just a video game. Armor is so much more than that.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty unique. I've heard of real life get-togethers from units and such. Not that it's totally unheard of, but getting a whole or a better portion of the unit, getting 60 guys together internationally to sit down and meet face to face. That's a very unique and I would say overwhelmingly rare experience and kind of opportunity for Milsim gamers out there. So I think that's just another credit to what you got going here in terms of not just the missions in themselves, but the overarching picture of kind of organization, leadership, and then just camaraderie. Working together. That is brotherhood. So that's pretty badass. A lot of good stuff that you got going here. With that in mind, we were talking earlier that BIA has been around for 5 or 6 years. Over that time, what challenges have you guys run into? How did you overcome them? What can you share with the community, particularly for those newer unit commanders, those newer Milsim units who are kind of maybe facing some of the same problems?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think the biggest challenge in becoming a Milsim unit, and we've all had our own pipeline dreams of starting our own at some point. But the biggest challenge is that there's a lot of competition out there. There's a lot of units, and a lot of them are absolutely fantastic, and they are great places to play. Um, we found that the solution to that for us is to be completely open and welcoming to people playing in our unit as well as others at the same time. We have no problem with that. In fact, I would say probably 10, 15, maybe even 20% of our players are members of other Milsim units or even just other units in general. And we don't really care as long as you can turn up and have a good time with us. That's all we really care about. We don't have any what do you call it? We don't have any sort of like attendance requirements or anything like that. We there is, if you want to progress and promote and develop within the community, then yeah, we're probably going to want you to be a little bit more active than other people. But we don't have any, you're not going to get kicked from the unit for not turning up or anything like that. We really are pretty open to that. And as I say, we've got these different eras that we play, which I think is quite unique, and I feel like that has helped us to stand out from the crowd a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I mean, definitely. It sounds like you guys have consistently maintained high standards, but you've adapted, if you will, or at least worked with people, not set so many limitations on them, but just provided a good time a fun op to keep them engaged and looking forward to the next time around. So definitely a admirable thing to consider because yeah. I mean, you're right. There is a lot of competition, a lot of really high speed, low drag units out there who have, also provided cinematic experiences for their members. But yeah, it sounds like you're hitting on all the opportunities, but again, not putting so many limitations, and that can differ from one to the next. So yeah, that's great. Anything from you, Mo? I mean, going back, what have you seen in terms of challenges or obstacles that you've overcome in BIA?
While BIA did face a lot of challenges, especially during those early and mid years, uh, I honestly think the way we overcame it as a community, especially those that are like higher up the community and were in charge of making missions and managing BIA as a whole, was that we listened to our players most of all. Like that is one thing we pride ourselves upon is that when anyone in the community has any feedback to give us, we will listen and we will work on it and we will improve the experience for all the players involved. Now, of course, some unit commanders are probably going to hear that and say, well, how is that possible? You can't make everyone happy. And while that is true to a certain extent, it's better than not listening at all. And that is one thing I want to give to anyone who's listening, and that is always listen to your community because without your community, there's really nothing there.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Yeah, definitely. In terms of military organization and leadership, yeah, it's far from a democracy in real life or in a lot of units for that matter. But communications is a two-way street, so definitely, you can bark orders and give directives and let known what you want to see. But you got to listen to your men, know where they're at, where they want to be, and work with them to get them up to the next level. So, some good stuff there. We talked about the development of the units, operations over the years. Any other lessons from your experiences here that you could share that can illustrate what makes a successful unit?
Oh, after you, Doctor?
I guess a successful unit, right? It requires many elements. But I would say the most important or the most key element is a command structure that are interested and keen and excited to play the game. They haven't reached that sort of grumbled veteran status yet, where they don't like to talk to people and don't like to interact. I think BIA has this down to a T where we change our command structure quite regularly, not through the fault of anyone who is a commander or whatever. It's just good to have change, and we like to have a fresh face. We like to have someone new come in every now and again to shake things up and to show us a new perspective. And I genuinely think that adds a lot to a unit, whether that's BIA or another unit. If you get fresh new ideas in regularly, you'll keep the players excited, you'll keep them on their toes, and you'll get new and unique experiences that may not have otherwise happened. To go back to one of our previous points, we started out as World War II Milsim. Over the next couple of years after that, we sort of drifted away from that Milsim experience, and we relaxed and we relaxed and we relaxed to the point where we were semi-serious, I would say. Um, in the last year and a half, we have really turned that back around. We're really trying to drive for that sort of continual improvement and trying to get uh, BIA back to being a true Milsim community. And I don't mean by that, I don't mean, you know, saluting in game and calling people sir and mom and all that sort of stuff. That's not what we're about. But we want the gameplay itself to be realistic. We want real military tactics. We want real use of weapons and equipment. Just trying to follow real world doctrine as best as we can. I mean, we spoke about this a little bit before, Brock, before we started the recording, but we started out as a US based unit, or as in what sort of game play we followed was a very much a US doctrine. Over the time, our members are very much international, so we've had a real influx of doctrine and experience from all around the world. I mean, we have multiple members that are veterans of different armed forces worldwide, myself included, coming from the British Armed Forces. So, since I've been a commander in the last sort of 6 months or so, 8 months, however long that's been, there's been a real influx of British doctrine because, that's what I'm used to. It's what I know. It's what I love. And combined with all the previous iterations of other commanders and just keen and interested people that want to give feedback to the unit, we've really taken on this sort of mongrel hybrid mutt doctrine that gives everyone a chance to do what it is they like to do, while still being true to life, if not true to one specific country.
Sure.
But yeah,
sounds like kind of
work.
Sounds like NATO Milsim. You got some units, some elements here, some units over there, but they're all coming together and making it work. And that's what I mean. It's realistic, so pretty admirable. What about you, Mo? You said you had something. So what you got in terms of lessons learned from BIA's evolution?
Well, honestly, there isn't really much else to add other than what Doctor hit, because Doctor pretty much hit the nail on the head in terms of what everyone in the community learned over the years as we grew together.
Sure. All right. Well, I can appreciate that. So good shit. Now, earlier we were talking. You mentioned that you guys interact pretty well with the greater community. Different units, and you get together for joint ops on your server or on their server. Can you tell us more about that? I mean, how do the interactions look, kind of behind the scenes, and give us an example of how you guys will conduct a joint op with other units.
Yeah, for sure. So, as I mentioned before, we quite regularly have guest units come to play with us. I would say when we don't have a guest unit is now probably a rarer occurrence than when we do. At the moment, we have a particularly great set of guests known as CE or Commando Epsilon. They're a Spanish unit, and they do speak predominantly Spanish, but they all also speak English as a second language, or most of them do anyway. And they quite often take an infantry squad in one of our platoons, and they will, they'll come along, they'll increase our manning so we can allow more guys to go off and play some sort of supporting roles like those armored call signs or aviation or whatever it may be, recon. And it allows us to still keep the bulk of infantry, which allows us to do our job. So we quite regularly have those guys along. We have other guest units that also come to play with us, maybe not quite as regularly as CE, but they do come, and we have sort of, as I say, we use those guest units to bolster our numbers. They get to have a great and cinematic experience. They get to play in a much larger scale mission they would normally. These guest units are normally sort of 10 to 20 people, and they bolster our numbers, but that's not the only way we work. We're not all about receiving. I suppose we like to give out our support as well. So I'm sure many people that are watching will know of OFCRA and the sort of large scale PvPs and joint operations that they host. We quite regularly sort of do a BIA takeover, shall we say, of OFCRA events where we'll turn up with 70, 80 players, and face off in a PvP versus, maybe 6, 7, 8 smaller units on the other side, or sometimes we'll split 50-50. So it's a bit of BIA bolstered with some other units versus another bit of BIA bolstered with some other units. And, we like to get out and about. At the moment, we're setting something up with Armor Sweden, which is the sort of national unit for Swedish armor players. And we're looking to try and put something together there where there could be 120 plus players. So it's going to be real intense. So it should be good fun. We really do try to get out and about and play with other units on their server and of course have them come and visit us as well. And we're always open to any unit leaders, commanders, whatever that would want to set something up with us. Just drop one of us a message and we'll happily set something up.
Yeah, it sounds good, man. I mean, I love PvP, but Arma PvP is brutal. So I can only imagine 120 plus, like just slugging it out on the server, man. That's got to be, like you said, intense. So good shit. Now,
Yeah, 100%.
Oh yeah, go ahead. I mean, I was just gonna.
Yeah, 100%. I'd like the PvPs. They are insane. When you've got, sort of 60 plus people on each side, with artillery and vehicles and all sorts of stuff going head to head. It's insane, and it's normally a sort of a one life, instant death turned on type affair as well. So, you can be that guy that gets, heli dropped onto your first objective and is dead in 10 seconds, or you can be the guy that's, hiding in the hut at the end while you're being swarmed by, the whole platoon of enemies that you didn't manage to kill. And you're sitting there and you're absolutely crapping your pants, hoping they don't come in through that door. It's intense, it's insane, it's really quite exciting, gets the blood pumping.
No, yeah, that sounds pretty exciting to me. What about other gamers out there, maybe other Milsim unit members, just people who are thinking about getting into Milsim for the first time, even? How do you interact with the greater community and the potential recruits that are looking at BIA as a possible home away from home, a digital home, if you will.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think this is probably an area for Mo. All I'll say is in the past, we weren't so good at this. We sort of just sat back, crossed our fingers, and hoped people would come to us. But in the last sort of couple of months, since we've had Mo as our recruitment guy, he's been doing all sorts of outreach to get out to those guys and let them know the good work that we're doing. So I'll let him, talk through the sort of things he's been doing.
Please.
You flatter me, Doctor, but the way we interact with our recruits, or people who look towards BIA and they seem interested in joining, is that we sort of, open the door for them. I always go out to them, get in touch, talk to them, see how they're doing, how everything's working out for them. And then pretty much once I built sort of that personal connection or some of my personal connection with them, just getting to know them a little bit, I tell them, hey, how about you join us and play with us? Because I feel like a good part of inviting anyone to play with you is you get to know them a little bit, or you show that you do care about them outside of the game. And pretty much that's another pillar that we have in BIA, where any recruit who joins, we help them in every possible way. We help them learn how we operate in BIA, what sort of tactics we use, everything they need to know to play with us. And we don't just sort of dump it all on them, like I've seen happen in the past, where people sort of just give them a document and they expect them to just read through all that and not get bored out of their mind. The way we tend to initiate recruits is that we invite them bit by bit to enter the community, and we give them sort of a little introduction to all of BIA, how we work, how everything happens in BIA, and slowly start to induct them with a little bit of training. With just more or less training is even a little bit extreme to what to call it, because it's more or less just an induction. We tell them, hey, this is how we do things. Hey, this is how everything works with us. And we give them some explanations if they're confused. And we sort of just hold their hand through the entire process until they reach a certain point where they feel they're comfortable, being out on their own in terms of operations and joining and playing with us. And not just that, if a member doesn't feel like they're ready to join us yet, no problem at all. I'll constantly, every now and then, get in touch with some members who seem like they aren't ready to join yet. Just talk to them, see how life's been treating them, and check up on them. And 9 times out of 10, that process made it so that these people were still interested in BIA, and they eventually came back and joined.
Hmm. Yeah, so you're taking guys through a whole recruiting and retention process to make sure that they know what they're getting into, they know what they're signing up for, and they have these reasons to keep them engaged and keep them coming back long term.
Yeah, yeah,
Yep.
100%. I'll add if I can. We've recently, as part of our sort of changes to BI, as I said, we've started going more Milsim. One of the big things that we've done is introduce um, more structured training and a more structured pipeline. So when the guys join the unit, traditionally they would have joined and they would have played their sort of probationary period, a couple of missions, couple of trainings, just so we know that they're um, capable, and then we'd let them off to go and blow off some steam and join whichever department they wish, whether that's our armored platoon, our aviation wing, whether that's the reconnaissance platoon, logistics, whatever it may be. But we realized a lot of guys were going into that not really knowing what they were doing, losing interest and dropping off. Which is, it happens, right? The Arma 3 is not a game that is packed full of tutorials. It doesn't teach you what you need to know, especially when you start throwing, ACE and sort of radio mods, etc. on top. It starts getting complicated. So we always had a basic training, which we were always running. So that's still in place. But now there's a more structured pipeline. So when you join, you'll join into our infantry platoon. From there, you'll be trained by one of our dedicated training team throughout a couple of trainings, and you'll play with them specifically on events as well for your first couple of missions, so that you've got that sort of that hand to hold should you struggle. And these guys are all complete volunteers. They are people that love new players and they want to help them out, whether that's new to Arma or whether that's new to BIA. And we can tailor that. If we've got a guy coming in with 6,000 hours that are like mostly in Milsim or something, then we're not going to make him sit through hours and hours of the basics, because he knows the basics. But we'll just give him the stuff that he needs to thrive in our unit. But from there, once you've done your sort of probationary period, let's say in that infantry platoon, you can go out and get competencies in the various departments that you wish to join, which is a 5-step process. So that's 5 training sessions. Each one is they're all an hour long. We try not to train for longer than an hour because people lose interest. And as you flow through those 5 hours of training, and you don't have to do them in any specific order, or you don't have to do them every week in a row or something like that. You just get to them as and when you can. Once you've reached those 5 hours and you've done all the parts of that department, then you gain the competency in that area. So from that point, should there be a free space open up in one of those departments, whether, as I say, that's recon or logistics or whatever, then you go and join that department, and from there you'll do more training with them, and you'll become a subject matter expert in that field that you work in.
Yeah, great stuff, man. I mean, definitely. I've used the word opportunities a couple of times already as we've been talking. So it sounds like you guys are flowing, like from start to finish. From that first recruiting session up to the next operation. You got a process, a program, and the people to make it happen. So good shit. Now, Milsim is always changing. It's always developing. Games come and go. Let's talk about the future of BIA and your vision for Milsim. Where do you guys see BIA in the next year? I mean, say beginning of March 2026. How's the unit going to look?
Yeah. I don't think we're going to change. And I don't mean that in a negative way. What I mean is I feel like we've got a good product and we're going to stick with it. And all we're going to do is develop, enhance, and basically just streamline what we've already got. The only thing I think that's going to be new, that's going to be coming to BIA soon, is a public server. We're looking to roll that out there. Get a public server going, get some Milsim going on the other days of the week, and allow people that maybe don't have the time or don't want to commit to joining a unit to come and play and have a good experience. And obviously our members will be on there to facilitate that for them. So I think really that's the big innovation or the big change that's going to be coming to BIA in the next year.
Sure. I mean, definitely pubs. I mean, that would increase your presence, community wide and beyond, probably, and definitely maybe be a hook for a lot of those guys looking for a more hardcore experience or their first experience in Milsim. So sounds exciting. I mean, definitely the more servers, the better, as far as I'm concerned. So I wish you the best in that, and hope to see some continued success and that growth in the community. But with that in mind, what changes or innovations, if any, do you think could enhance the Milsim experience in general going forward? I mean, we've been talking for weeks now about the Arma 4 release date coming up in 2027. Some other games on the horizon in alpha or in early release that are being tested. For the greater community, what do you want to see, or what do you think we need to see in the next couple of years?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, with Arma 4, we're all excited for that. I don't think anyone is going to pretend they're not. Like, we're hoping that that's going to be so amazing. And I'm sure it will be, maybe a year after release, but I'm sure it won't be a complete buggy mess like Arma 3 was when it first came out. But yeah, no, definitely. I mean, personally, and I'll let Mo do his piece on this as well, because I think this is very personal to me. But my background and my military experience was predominantly within electronic warfare, which is a really fancy buzz title name that doesn't really mean very much. But essentially, what excites me is this modern and new way that war is being fought. I mean, I'm not going to name any of the conflicts that are going on right now because that will definitely age this video. But the in the last couple of years, warfare has changed massively. We've got drone warfare being a huge thing. We've got sort of GPS jamming, etc., becoming really scarily quite good. We've got mobile phones and pages blowing up in people's hands. These sorts of things that are happening. And I feel like Arma, the modder scene out there, they're really trying to get these things pushed out. And I think in the next couple of months, in the next couple of months towards the end of the year, we'll probably start to see some really polished mods and products coming out that can really simulate the way that warfare has changed. And I think BIA will be absolutely willing and able to start incorporating that into how we play our games.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I mean, you look at the NATO exercises going on right now, around the world, Europe, elsewhere. We got exercises in Southeast Asia as well with other military allies and partner nations. So EW, it's a big threat. I mean, it's part of the battle space now, and that's the thing. We don't fight on battlefields anymore. We fight in battle spaces, and there's so many different domains. I mean, the U.S. Army, they're focused, like a laser on multi-domain operations, and that includes cyber ops, electronic warfare, and all that. And you can script some stuff. I mean, we got computers and different items that we can put in the game in the editor and Zeus. We can use Intel. Mods what do you call them? We can use Intel assets, in the games to, kind of add that immersive experience. But yeah, drone jamming, that's not something I've ever seen in Arma to date. That would add, that next level of immersion to the experience. And I mean, it'd be shocking, the first time you see it happen or realize what's going on, man. It definitely, adds to that level of realism. So we'll see what happens, man. I'd love to see some cyber stuff. I mean, it's again, It's all about what people can envision and script and get out to the rest of the community. If you can dream it and code it, man, you can probably get it done in Arma. So let's see what happens.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, one of our most recent missions by one of our very talented mission makers, it was a World War II mission, which you wouldn't expect to see something of that sort of ilk in that experience. But when you look back all the way back to sort of World War II and the German occupation of France, they were using the Germans, that is, they were using direction finding capabilities to pin down resistance assets, and that is something that was simulated quite accurately in the mission. So we had the bulk of our friendly force playing as resistance elements, trying to complete a series of small objectives across a scattered AO, and a player up for element who were operating direction finding equipment that was custom made and custom scripted, to be able to try and figure out where they were transmitting from and where they were talking from, and direct the assets to go and take them out and stop them from completing their task. And it was just a really unique and an interesting experience to see, and not something that you see commonly in Arma.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's exciting and kind of a little bit scary at the same time, but definitely that's what makes it fun. That level of stimulation and just capabilities in your missions. So, what do you think, Mo? What do you want to see? I mean, how can the future Milsim, be even better than what we're looking at today?
This isn't so much as a feature or an aspect I want to see. This is more a general thing that will affect Milsim as a whole, and that is performance in terms of the game engine itself, and in terms of how, for example, Arma 4 will be made. The main thing that I look at when I see Arma 4 is that I want that to perform well in terms of, let's say I spawn a million AI, for example. Very outlandish example, I know, but just bear with me here. I I want to spawn in a lot of AI so that my players always feel like there is something for them to do, or that be keeping an eye out because someone might come up from behind them, or for example, just shooting at something. I want there to be a very performant engine so that there's always more creative freedom for the mission makers to add more stuff without having to worry about the engine having a stroke mid-operation and just the server dying. And that is just, from my background as a game developer, the main thing I want to see. That is just performance, and more performance so that we can be able to do greater and grander things in Arma as a whole.
Amen, brother. Yeah, definitely. That's the thing. We all laugh about it. We kind of joke and take all the glitches and the bugginess, in stride as we're playing. But yeah, there are some really, great missions and operations that were, getting to be cinematic. That, like you said, when the server dies, man, it's just like all that. Goes right down the drain. So it's frustrating. I'm hopeful for Arma 4. I've been following the development of VBS 4 from Bohemia Interactive Simulations, and like I've said before, I can see that Arma and VBS, they share probably some code. I know they share textures. So hopefully, we can get not only things like terrain modification, real time, but also having like battalion, regimental, maybe even brigade-sized elements operating on the server, so you can do some serious, legit, realistic combined arms warfare. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully, I'm sure Bohemia's heard it before. They're pretty good in terms of the devs, interacting with us in the community. So they know what's up. They've seen the writing on the wall. But yeah, it's a matter of time. We'll just have to watch and wait, and hope they can deliver what we're dreaming for. But yeah, that's some good stuff.
Amen.
Great points. I appreciate your perspectives. Coming from a successful unit, kind of, helping to point the direction and where we should be in the near future. So yeah, we'll watch and wait. Now,
yeah, 100%.
Yep. So let's get into some more of your insights here. what do you like most about Milsim Gaming? You've been playing for years now. What keeps you engaged and coming back?
Oh God, that's such a huge question. I mean, I guess it is for me. It's trying to relive my glory days a little bit, trying to get myself back into that military environment, but maybe without the having to clean my rifle afterwards or scrub down a Land Rover. Keep to the exciting bits and avoid the boring bits. But yeah. I mean, Milsim it's what you make of it, right? Whether it's a giant cinematic company-sized, assault with supporting elements like we've mentioned plenty of times, or whether it's a super stressful, intense, one squad, one section patrol of a town or a village in Afghan or something like that, and you never know where that next sniper shot's gonna come from, or whether there's an IED under that piece of paper in front of you. It's the uniqueness of Milsim. It can be what you make of it. It can be glory and action and whatever, or it can be nail-bitingly intense and stressful, and it's just such a unique experience every single time.
Absolutely. So, Mo, what
For
do you
me,
think?
the way I'm thinking, the thing that makes me come back to Milsim all the time is just the experience as a whole. Now, uh, personally, I always wanted to join the military, but I never had the chance to, unfortunately. But it's the whole idea of the camaraderie when it comes to Milsim, the intense feeling you get when you're behind enemy lines or when you're just out in a battlefield trying to dodge bullets while the AI is just shelling you with artillery. It's pretty much the entire experience as a whole and how it builds on top of each other like building blocks is what keeps me coming back. But if we had to get down to specifics, it's mainly the camaraderie because all the people that play Milsim, they tend to have very similar wavelengths or views and hobbies and interests.
Yep.
And it's just a great place to meet new people and make friends. And that's one of the main things that keeps me coming back to Milsim and mainly BIA as a whole.
100%. Yeah, definitely. It's a different type of gaming. Obviously, it's not for everybody, or we'd have millions of servers out there. But yeah, for those guys who want to take it up to the next level that aren't just doing it to kill time or doing it because their friends doing it. If yeah, you want to take it to the next level, give it a consideration and start looking around. Look at the units that are out there that you can get started with, so you can see it all for yourself. I mean, definitely, once you're in, man, it's hard to get out. It can be depending on how you do it, you can get burned out. It can be exhausting, particularly for unit leadership. Even for supporting elements, it can be a lot of work because, like you guys were saying, you get out of it what you put into it. But yeah, there's nothing quite like it in the gaming world, and with all the different genres and time frames, and I was just talking with a couple of guys from a unit that does Halo ops, so there really is no limit to it. It's all about what you want to see and what you're willing to develop to make it a reality. So good shit. Now we talked about some, your most memorable ops, your experiences. What about the hypothetical here? Let's get into potentialities. If you could design any operation, any mission, like your dream mission, what would it look like?
Yeah, okay. I guess I'll go first. That seems to be the pattern for this so far.
Sure.
Yeah. So for me, I'm really boring. I want that full realism experience. As fun as the action movie missions are, for me, my ideal environment is what I described a little while ago. That super intense, super stressful, one life only, instant death type sort of thing, where it's like you're patrolling in a mountain path or a village or whatever it may be, and you never know where the threat is coming from. You may have just spent the last hour of your existence wandering down a road to go and, I don't know, meet with a village elder or something, and you just do not know if in the next 10 seconds someone's gonna, pop a shot off at you, and you're gonna have to go diving into the ditch next to you. And when you do, is there a mine or an IED in that ditch? Is that exactly what they were planning for? Is the guy walking down the road towards you with I don't know, an ice cream van, is he the guy that's about to go boom and take out your entire squad? Like, that's super intense, super stressful. Um, you know, uh, very much simple, I suppose. Mission design is probably my favorite kind, and that would be my dream.
So you dream of Arma PTSD then?
I do. Yeah, Vietnam's one of my favorites. I love it when the trees start whispering Vietnamese. It's fantastic. It's one of my all-time favorites.
Oh man, I said that. Now I'm having flashbacks of the old Nokia ringtone, man. Oh, I didn't want to think of that again. But anyway, where were we?
Talking about a
Dude.
Nokia ringtone.
Yeah, thanks, Mo. All right, so yeah, where are you at? I mean, if you could design any, your dream op, what would it look like for you?
Well, for me, it wouldn't just be one op, it would be sort of a series or a campaign where each op builds up on the previous one, but not just in terms of story or what we're doing. In terms of resources, my dream op is that you're a battalion or a company that's sort of sent in the middle of nowhere. You have your supply lines cut off, and you sort of just have to make do with what you've got. You could, for example, take enemy assets, but those assets are shit, so they might sort of break down in the middle of combat. Or let's say you have a limited number of tanks and you're going out somewhere and one of those tanks gets destroyed. Now, next operation, you're one tank less and you have to be conservative with what you got. It's sort of these critical decisions that is what I really love when it comes to certain missions. And it's what I would absolutely love in my own dream operation, where it's a series of missions, you have limited resources, and it's not just a story that's driving you to use those resources, but you also got to think critically of, okay, is it worth it if I bring my tank this time, even though I know there might be AT assets hidden somewhere, or should we just go all infantry, even though we're going to be severely underpowered compared to the threat we're facing?
Yeah, so you like to get in the details, make it technical and complex, and just I guess pushing all the resources to their limits, in the accomplishment of the objectives there. So yeah, I can definitely admire that.
Yep,
Now,
that's my favorite part.
yeah, it's good shit, man. I mean, that's the thing. Milsim in general, Arma 3, Arma Reforger even to an extent. I mean, it allows you those opportunities. I mean, that's the thing. It's like the world really is wide open. That's such a cliche, I haven't heard it so much, but in Milsim, man, I mean, yeah, you can do anything you want. It's freaking awesome. So, let's get back to your structured ops, your missions, etc. in BIA. If there's one thing that you want our listeners to know, about the unit or to see for that matter, what would it be that you'd showcase?
Hmm. I would say it has to be, well, any unit commander would want to say the exciting bits, but for me, it has to be, it has to mainly be how we sort of do, or like how we conduct ourselves in terms of beginning the operation and ending the operation. You always see us in every operation when we start. We're always getting all the leaders together, we're briefing up. All the team leads are managing the squads and making sure no one is, fucking off and doing anything else that they shouldn't be doing. And it's just pretty much you get the feeling that we are an actual military force, an actual team that's getting ready to go out. And that's just one part that I really do love to show to all the recruits that join and any of my friends whenever they ask me why am I playing Arma, because that part I feel really makes or breaks most operations, because it's seeing all the people around you getting serious and getting in the mood for it, which helps you yourself get in the mood to actually go out and do this thing.
Yeah, definitely the spool up, man. Yeah, that's cool. What do you
Yeah,
think, Doc?
I think for me uh it's probably it's probably the opposite of Mo's, and it probably is a bit of the action. Like, um, if I wanted them to like just sit and watch one tiny element of the mission while the whole thing is sort of going on around them. I'd want them to sit and watch one of our forward observers or one of our JTAC. The amount of work and effort that goes into making all the notations, getting the grids, getting the lasers on the target, doing the full 5-line into the asset or whatever it may be, if it's artillery the other way, trying to get all that information into the supporting asset. The players, they're engaging an enemy objective, and all they see is an A10 swoop in and do a gun run, and something out of like a Funker video on YouTube or whatever. They're cheering their heads off as they watch a compound get turned to dust, and they get that beautiful burst sound as it goes over. But if you were to just sit and focus on that JTAC in that moment, and the amount of time and effort that he's just put into what is essentially a 10-second gun run from that A10, I just feel like the beauty is in the details. Like, and as we say, Milsim is what you make of it. If you, as a unit, if you want like 50 A10s coming in from all angles, and the guy just like scrolls and clicks a button and in comes an A10, like, more glory to you. If you enjoy that, please do. But for me, the enjoyment is, the amount of time and effort that goes into these things. And then if you are playing as that forward observer or that JTAC or whatever, watching that gun run come in successfully, there is no more beautiful sight in the world than watching the strike you called in hammering home, whether that's air assets, whether that's artillery, whether that's an unmanned drone, whatever it may be, something along those lines. I just feel like that's fantastic, and people should, or I hope people would enjoy watching that.
Yeah, that's some cinematic shit right there. And more often than not, the JTAC is one of the first guys, on the ground. I mean, he's out there before anyone is even grabbed their kit yet. So definitely a lot of work, a lot of setup. You gotta know what the hell you're doing, and you got to be able to communicate that, to make all the pieces come together. So definitely good shit there. Now, what about BIA's history as a unit? Are there any traditions or any rituals? I mean, you've talked about some unique aspects, but anything, kind of out of the ordinary that we haven't talked about so far?
Ah, shit. Mo, have you got anything? I can't think of anything.
I mean, for me, I think, let's see.
This is a hard question. It's a hard one. Yeah.
That
Sure.
is a really difficult question.
I know sometimes squads have their rituals or whatever. They're kind of, what's the word? I don't know. They might kind of roll, or do something a little bit before they step off. But yeah, I mean, you mentioned the training and the operations. Are there any accolades? Do you guys recognize your soldiers, for high performance or accomplishments in the field? Anything along those lines?
We do. I'm going to grab the list up now so I can give you a more accurate description.
Sure. Yeah, definitely.
Got it. So yeah, so we used to have a fairly basic medal system where you just got a medal, which didn't really mean anything if you were just good on a mission. Like, there was no real specific criteria or anything. That was one of the changes we made when we decided to go back towards that true Milsim. So we have a series of awards. We have, everything all the way down to the individual competencies we were talking for the department, where, you prove your skills in logistics, whatever it may be. We have ribbons or awards for being a mentor, or being a trainer, for being long standing in that role and providing your services to the community. But I mean, we also have, the more traditional awards. We have, valor and gallantry and medals along those lines. And they have really clear defined criteria. So, our highest award, of which there has been 0 recipients so far, is our ribbon of valor, which is it's awarded to members of BIA or guests or even people in their probationary period that show extraordinary bravery as much as you can do in a video game. Multiple times during a single experience and or a single event. Um, you know, there has to be something on the line there to earn that award. It's not just running in front of a tank and getting your ass shot off because you want to win a medal. Like, it has to be something along the lines of, you are the very last man standing of your squad. If you get wiped, then you're going back to the title screen and wait until the mission's over, like, and individually picking up multiple members of your squad and carrying them to the casualty collection point, whatever it may be, something that genuinely holds some value. And we're really quite strict on that. And as I say, these ribbons or these medals are not awarded, like crazy. They're not. There's no sort of inflation going on. We really truly try and vet and make sure that when they do go out, they only go out to someone that deserves it, and that it truly becomes something special for that person and makes them someone to look up to for the rest of the community. So I would say that's probably a culture that we've tried to bring in is recognizing people for doing something genuinely special and trying to keep it so that it's only awarded to people that do something genuinely special. We have our long service and good conduct award, which is essentially someone who's served 5 years or longer in the community and has never been formally punished in any way, shape, or form. They've never been kicked or banned or whatever it may be for doing something they really shouldn't do. And things along those lines. So we do try to build a culture of rewarding people for doing something of value to the community.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, talking earlier, communications, two-way is very important for keeping people engaged. But yeah, just recognizing them, giving them awards for good conduct, like you said, for long-term service, for being an absolute badass on the battle space, man. I mean, definitely adds to that level of immersion, and it's just it's cool. I mean, it's something that is exciting and people look forward to. So it's like the icing on the cake, So good shit. Now we get to the big question here, the one that everyone's waiting to hear. Let's talk about BIA and Hollywood, or any kind of media for that matter. What military movie or show or miniseries do you think best captures the spirit of Brothers in Arms?
I mean, it's got to be any sort of cheesy 70s or 80s action movie. Arnold Schwarzenegger with two M60s charging across the forest. Anything along those lines. No, I'm kidding, of course. But we do like to try and make it as cinematic as possible. I think that's become quite clear while we've been talking that's something that we that we strive for, and I think we do take inspiration from war films and action films and try and the big scenes, the scenes that get your heart pounding when you're watching them in the movie theater or at home or whatever it may be. That's the parts of the battle we want to play. We might not do that all the time. Every unit's going to have some maybe slightly quieter moments, but we really do like to simulate these big explosive, exciting finales that you often see in films.
Sure. Yeah, good shit. All right.
I'd say.
Oh yeah, go ahead, please.
No worries. I'd say if you ask our medics, they'd say Hacksaw Ridge, but for me as a whole, yeah, I think Saving Private Ryan would also be pretty appropriate to describe BIA.
Yeah, we all get mowed down on the beach in the first 2 minutes. Yeah,
yep. No. My thoughts exactly.
That's funny. Yeah, well, either way, intense. I mean, and that's my experience in Milsim. At least in Arma 3, definitely. I mean, you can make it look like some of those movies if you want to. So, yeah, good to hear. Now, what do you think about Milsim Units and your experience with the platform? You're in our tier one, program here. We're happy to have you on the podcast because you've had a lot to say about a really interesting and unique unit. What have we done that's helped, and what do you think that we can improve on, as a platform for units like yours?
I mean,
I
in terms of like general feedback, I'll sort of hand to Mo, I think, because he's like the recruitment guy. But from my experience as a commander, like everyone that I've spoken to on your Discord server and everyone that I've spoken to, in and around Milsim Units has been just great. They've been happy to help and willing to get us set up in every way they can.
For me, it has to be just Milsim Units as a whole, as a website, has helped us get more recruits and help us get our name out there. Uh, Doctor, you've obviously gotten in touch with other units thanks to Milsim Units as well, right?
Yeah, yeah. I've, as I say, I've spoken to people on the Discord, some other unit commanders, etc., and it's a great source for these joint ops that we're talking about, these guest units that we play with and they play with us. It's a great place to meet people as a unit commander and even just as a guy in a unit. Like I know some of our members here, they have found second units and third units on the Milsim Units Discord, and as I said, we don't have a problem with that. So more power to them. If that gives them uh, more experience and teaches them things, they can bring those things back to BIA, and we can use those to improve. So yeah, it's a great platform for comms.
And not to mention, from a recruitment standpoint, Milsim Units has constantly given us high quality recruits, as I call them, people who have experience in Milsim, people who who just used to play Milsim a lot, and suddenly these people found out about BIA and they came and decided to join us. Obviously, that is a big plus, and there's just like Milsim has helped us a lot. But if there's one thing I'd have to say can be improved on, I'm pretty sure the author's gonna see this coming. It's the bot we have in our Discord. That thing has
Oh
woken me
yeah,
up in the
that
middle of
bug.
the night
Yeah,
Oh
that's
yeah,
several times.
yeah. That thing
5
firing
a.m.
off at 5 a.m. UK time is absolutely crazy. Yeah, yeah.
sure. Yeah, definitely. You're not the first to say that. Definitely, we got some feedback on that one. But yeah, he's a loud one. Get you when you least expect it. So definitely. But I appreciate that. I mean, thank you. For the kind feedback there. We're just trying to make the most of the genre, of the community and of the gaming experience. I mean, I think just all of us, I guess I can't speak for everybody, but I think for most of us, we want that kind of, that next level cinematic, just exciting, adventurous experience. Running and gunning with 60, 80, 100 guys in Arma or any other game. So definitely. We're going to do what we can to support units, to help them expand by getting the word out, giving them resources to reach out and attract new members, and like I said, make the most of the experience. So definitely keep the feedback coming in. Our ears are always always open, I should say. We're always listening. Um, to hear what you guys want and need to really develop and make this a great time for everybody involved. So thanks again.
Yeah, no worries. Thank you.
Thanks for all the help.
Sure, glad to do it. Now we've covered a lot here in this podcast. Really got into the ins and outs of BIA. Just your long history. Your kind of diverse experience and your global community. Is there anything that we haven't talked about that you want people to know about BIA?
The only thing I'll say is we've recently started using our socials a little bit more than we were before, especially our Instagram account. So, if people are still on the fence and they're not sure about whether or not we're the right guys for them, then jump on our Instagram, have a look through some of the clips and some of the streams that are shown on there, and figure it out. I mean, all the details are there. Some of our funny bits, some of our badass bits, and everything in between.
Not just that, actually, if anyone who's interested also wants just a general overview of BIA, we do have a YouTube channel that does currently have a trailer on it that does introduce all sorts of aspects of BIA and what we do, from the departments we have, the types of missions we run. You can just find a general overview on there.
Great. All right. Well, definitely. Like I said, we'll get your contact information, your social media links, your Milsim Units .com profile link in the description below, so people can take a look up close and personal, see what you guys are all about, and get a glimpse at your gameplay. So good shit again. Now, any tips on players who are looking to join up, who want to get into the game? Discord. What kind of what other ways, or what's the best way to get in touch and get get things started?
Yeah, if they're looking to join us specifically, then our Discord is the best place to start. If you get on there, you'll go through the Discord onboarding feature, where we'll ask you some questions about what sort of games you like to play, and those sort of things, and it will slot you up. I mean, it's probably something we should have mentioned earlier, but we do have a dedicated DCS wing as well. So we have about 16 pilots, full-time pilots that fly DCS as something that they love to do, either on top of Armor or entirely separate from Armor. Not all of our DCS pilots are Armor players. So when you join our Discord, you'll go through the onboarding feature. You can pick and choose whether you want to join the unit, whether you just want to hang out and see what we do, whether you want to play some DCS, whether you just want to play some Armor casually, whatever it is. If you want to join the unit proper, you'll get put through to Mr. Mo here, who will take you through all of the things you need to do to get set up, which sounds like a lot, but actually it's really not. And within a day or two, you can be joining the next operation. That's the beauty of playing 3 times a week, whether it's a training or a mission. We don't require you to go and do the training session before you play with us. If you are completely brand new to Armor, we will buddy you up with someone who knows what they're doing, and they'll handhold you through the first event and make sure that you get a good experience.
All right, outstanding. Yeah, I'm taking a look at your Discord again right now. So, easy peasy. So, yeah, guys, ladies and gentlemen, for that matter, if you want to take a look, and if you're ready to join up, get on the BiA Discord here, Brothers in Arms, and give them a shout, man. See what happens. But this has been a great podcast, gentlemen. I appreciate both of you coming on here. Really, kind of opening up BiA to the rest of the community. You guys got a great presence, and I know you're well known, but we've got thousands of people coming, through our Discord, through our YouTube channel here. Most of our podcast videos are getting 1,000, 1,500 plus views. So definitely, I wish you all the best. I hope this is helpful to you, to kind of act as a force multiplier, if you will. And again, just I'm always happy to hear about units and what makes them tick, and how they make the experience positive for everybody involved. So appreciate you guys coming on board tonight.
Beautiful, yeah. Thank you very much. It's been great. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having us.
Absolutely. All right. Looking forward to talking to you in the future to see how things are going. To continue the the community relationship here as we move forward into 2026 and beyond. Future is wide open. All right, ladies and gents. So that is it. I appreciate you guys joining us once again. I've got some more lined up and in the works coming up in the weeks and months ahead, as always. So definitely looking forward to being back ASAP. Till that time, this is C. Brock signing off.